They let anyone in these days. Oh, true. Imagine.
Are you sure you are in the right place? Because I don't know why they should let you in. What?
It was supposed to be a bad day for me, but it turned out for my good. Let me start the story from a point first, so you can understand my situation better. The conference room fell silent when I walked in. Every head turned. Every eye scanned me from head to toe. My jacket had a small tear near the pocket. My shoes were scuffed and old. I felt their stares like needles on my skin. A woman in a sharp gray suit whispered something to the man beside her. They both laughed. My hands trembled as I clutched my folder tighter. I told myself to breathe, to stay calm, but my heart was pounding so loud I thought everyone could hear it. Then someone spoke up. "Excuse me, are you sure you're in the right place?" The words cut deep. I opened my mouth to respond, but before I could say anything, the door swung open behind me. Heavy footsteps echoed across the marble floor. Everyone froze. The room went completely still. I turned slowly, unsure of what was about to happen next. Let me take you back to that morning. I woke up at 5:30, just like every other day. The apartment was cold. The heater had stopped working weeks ago, and I couldn't afford to fix it. I stared at the ceiling for a while, thinking about bills I couldn't pay and dreams that felt too far away. My older brother used to tell me, "Marcus, kindness costs nothing. Even when you have nothing else, you still have that." I thought about his words as I got dressed in my only decent pair of pants and the jacket I'd worn 100 times before. Before leaving, I made myself a promise. No matter how people treated me today, I would stay kind. I would stay human. I grabbed my folder and headed out into the cold morning air. The bus was crowded that morning. I stood near the back, holding onto the rail as we jerked through traffic. At one stop, an elderly woman got on. She looked tired, her arms full of grocery bags. No one moved to help her. I watched as she struggled to balance everything while the bus lurched forward. Without thinking, I stepped toward her. "Here, let me help you with those," I said softly. She looked surprised but grateful. I carried her bags to an empty seat and made sure she sat down safely. She smiled at me, a genuine smile that warmed something inside my chest. "God bless you, young man," she whispered. I nodded and returned to my spot at the back. She didn't know my name. I didn't know hers. But in that moment, we were just two people being human to each other. When I arrived at the Grandview Hotel, my stomach tightened. The building was enormous, all glass and steel, with people in expensive clothes walking in and out like they owned the world. I checked my phone one more time to confirm the address. This was it. The business pitch competition I'd been preparing for all month. I walked through the revolving doors and immediately felt out of place. The lobby sparkled. Chandeliers hung from the ceiling like frozen stars. Everyone around me looked polished, confident, successful. I caught my reflection in a mirrored wall. My jacket looked even more worn under the bright lights. A security guard glanced at me, then looked away quickly. I heard two men in suits talking near the elevator. One of them looked directly at me and muttered, "They'll let anyone in these days." I made my way to the registration desk. The woman behind it barely looked up from her computer. "Name?" she asked flatly. "Marcus Thompson," I said. She typed slowly, then frowned. "You're here for the pitch competition." Her tone made it sound like a question and an accusation at the same time. "Yes," I replied calmly. She handed me a name tag without another word. As I walked toward the conference room, I passed a group of young professionals. One of them, a tall man with slicked back hair, stepped slightly into my path. "Careful," he said with a smirk. "Wouldn't want you to trip and embarrass yourself before you even get started." His friends laughed. I looked him in the eye, took a breath, and said, "I'll be fine. Thank you." Then I walked past him. My heart was racing, but I refused to let him see it. Inside the waiting area, I found a seat in the corner. Around me, people exchanged business cards and talked about their startups and investors. I stayed quiet, reviewing my notes one last time. A woman across from me kept glancing at my folder. It was plain, nothing fancy. Hers had a leather cover with gold lettering. She leaned over to the man next to her and whispered something. They both looked at me and smiled in that fake, pitying way. I pretended not to notice. Then the door to the main conference room opened. A voice called out, "Next presenter, Marcus Thompson." I stood up, smoothed my jacket, and walked in. That's when the room went silent. That's when the whispers started. And that's when I realized this wasn't just about my idea. It was about whether they thought I even deserved to be there. Suddenly, the door behind me swung open again. A woman in her 60s walked in, dressed elegantly but simply. Her presence filled the room instantly. She wasn't loud or flashy, but everyone noticed her. I recognized her face from somewhere, though I couldn't place it immediately. She walked slowly to the front of the room, her eyes scanning the crowd. Then they landed on me. She smiled. Not a polite smile. A real one. "Marcus Thompson," she said clearly. The entire room turned to look at me. My heart nearly stopped. She walked toward me and extended her hand. "I didn't expect to see you here," she said warmly. I blinked, confused. Then it hit me. The woman from the bus. The one with the grocery bags. But she looked different now. More formal. More important. "You helped me this morning," she continued. "And now I'd like to return the favor." The atmosphere in the room shifted instantly. The same people who had whispered and smirked now sat up straighter. The woman in the gray suit stopped whispering. The man with the slick back hair looked stunned. The woman who had walked in was Patricia Lawson, one of the lead judges and a well-known investor in the city. Everyone knew her name. She turned to the panel. "This young man showed me kindness this morning without knowing who I was. That tells me more about his character than any pitch ever could." Then she looked back at me. "But I still want to hear your idea, Marcus. You've earned that." People who had ignored me minutes ago now looked at me with forced smiles. Someone even offered me water. Another person nodded respectfully. It all felt fake. Hollow. I didn't want their respect now. I wanted it when I walked in that I gave my presentation. My voice shook at first, but I found my rhythm. I spoke about my idea, a platform to help low-income families access affordable education resources. When I finished, the room was quiet. Then Patricia stood up and clapped. Others followed. But I didn't feel victorious. I felt sad. Because the truth was clear. They hadn't listened to me when they thought I was nobody. They only listened when someone important told them to. After the event, Patricia approached me privately. "You handled yourself well in there," she said. I nodded. "Thank you. But it shouldn't have taken you walking in for them to treat me like a person." She paused, then smiled sadly. "You're right. And that's exactly why people like you need to succeed. To remind the world that kindness, dignity, and character matter more than appearance." I left that hotel with something more valuable than a trophy. I left with a lesson. You never know who someone is or who they're becoming. Treat everyone with respect. Not because of what they can give you, but because it's the right thing to do. That one moment changed everything. Not because I became rich or famous, but because I learned that real power comes from staying kind even when the world tries to break you. And no one can ever take that away. Do you think kindness still pays today? If you enjoyed the story, please drop your comment, like, and subscribe to this channel. Watch out for the next story.